When people discuss politics, we often speak in the language of power. Who has the most authority, biggest economy, or most feared military? The best politicians don't always fit this mold though. Instead, some use their influence to exert far more pressure and create more change than their raw power would suggest possible. Influence is a difficult concept to measure though, so a few months ago, we asked you, the TLDR audience, to rank some of the most influential people in the world. We've then combined these 15,000 votes with the opinions of the TLDR team to formulate an official TLDR top 25. So in this video, we're going to run through the top 10, explain who these influential people are, and find out who the world's most influential person really is. Before we get into the ranking, let's quickly explain how this list was created. Firstly, the TLDR team created a shortlist containing the people we thought could reasonably be considered among the most influential. A list that ended up including world leaders, religious figures, activists, business leaders, and even a YouTuber. And no, I swear we weren't tempted to nominate ourselves. Once that shortlist was created, a vote was held in two parts. One involving the TLDR audience, and another by the TLDR team. For the audience vote, each voter selected their own top 10, with 10 points attributed to the person they put in first place, 9 to second, and so on. At the same time, the TLDR team created their own top 25, something which led to a lot of debate and discussion.
We could potentially have a monumental jump on our hands.
Yeah.
Hands up for leapfrogging into sixth.
The most powerful European country, the second biggest economy, the nuclear power that is... The nuclear power!
Yeah.
We then combine these scores together to create the overall ranking, with 50% weighting given to either side. So with that cleared up, let's get into the list. In 10th place is Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who took her Brothers of Italy party, once considered to be on the far-right fringe of Italian politics, to become Italy's main political force. Meloni has established herself as a central player in Europe too, most notably with her pushing Europe towards harsher and more restrictive policies on asylum and immigration. And number 9 is European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. As the EU's most senior official since 2019, when she promised to build a truly geopolitical commission, von der Leyen has consolidated power in the Commission presidency and has led the Union through a series of major crises and their aftershocks, from the COVID-19 pandemic to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and now the United States turning away from Europe. As the former German defense minister, von der Leyen is now refocusing on a familiar portfolio by promising a massive ramp up in European defense spending. The 8th most influential person on the list is Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who in the space of just a few years has become one of the world's most recognizable leaders. As a symbol of Ukrainian defiance against Russian aggression, Zelensky spent the first couple of years of the war drumming up diplomatic, financial, military, and cultural support for Ukraine by maintaining a constant presence in Western media, making his voice heard in all sorts of political and public fora, from national parliaments to award ceremonies. But now his influence is facing its greatest test yet, as he attempts to manage the drastically deteriorated relationship with the United States, solidify European support, and keep fighting an existential war. Continuing the streak of Europeans, at 7 is French President Emmanuel Macron, a man whose reputation is enjoying something of a renaissance, as his long-standing calls for Europe to develop strategic autonomy, particularly in the realm of defense and security, have been vindicated by Donald Trump undermining the transatlantic alliance, and there's now a growing consensus agreeing with Macron in Europe. Despite his own domestic position having been thoroughly weakened in recent years, Macron has been the most visible leader rallying the rest of Europe in support of Ukraine, and likely sees an opportunity for France to take the lead in the building of a new European security architecture. At number 6 is Israel's longest-serving Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. This top 10 finish for the leader of what is a relatively small country, both in terms of area and population, demonstrates the influence that Netanyahu, and indeed Israel, holds. International condemnation, an international arrest warrant, and a genocide case at the world's highest court haven't restrained Netanyahu in his prosecution of the war in Gaza. Nor has Israel's domestic turmoil held him back from pursuing his political aims, such as his controversial judicial overhaul. We enter the top 5 with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who just last year became the second Indian Prime Minister to win 3 straight terms. Modi is not just the leader of the world's most populous country, but has developed a sort of cult of personality, and is one of just a few world leaders who can pack a stadium with fans on multiple continents. Diplomatically, Modi has been pursuing a balancing act by staking out a position in between the world's diverging superpowers, the US and China, who are India's 2 largest trading partners, while also maintaining relations with Russia, a key supplier of oil and weaponry to India, and acting as an ally to the West as a crucial bulwark against China. Our 4th most influential person is Russian President Vladimir Putin, a man whose decisions have truly shaped the world around us. Most obviously, his decision to launch a full-scale invasion into Ukraine in 2022. The war created a surge in prices of necessities like food and fuel, helping to drive a worldwide anti-incumbent wave. It also prompted an expansion of NATO and a militarization drive in Europe, and the Russian military preoccupation with Ukraine also contributed to dramatic changes in battlefields abroad, like Azerbaijan's conquest of Nagorno-Karabakh in 2023 and the overthrow of the Assad regime in Syria in 2024. Our 3rd most influential person is also the world's richest person, Elon Musk. With his financial might, cultural influence, and new political power as a key ally of Donald Trump, Musk's bronze medal position is unsurprising. In addition to his slashing, shuttering, and gutting of the US federal government, Musk has been more than willing to deploy his significant financial resources in support of Trump-aligned causes, and is unafraid of venturing into international politics, whether it's attacking the UK's Labour Party or endorsing Germany's far-right AfD. Taking the silver medal as the world's 2nd most influential person is Xi Jinping, president of China, the world's 2nd largest economy and 2nd most populated country. These facts are the foundation of Xi's influence, but bolstering it even further is the fact that his control over the Chinese Communist Party, and therefore China, is near total. Having overseen the removal of the 2-term limit, Xi looks set to be president for life, and his political doctrine, known as Xi Jinping thought, has been incorporated into the constitutions of the Communist Party and China itself. Throughout Xi's tenure, China's emerging superpower status, economically, geopolitically, and militarily, has proven to be a challenge for successive US presidents, both Democratic and Republican. And that takes us nicely onto 1st place. To the surprise of probably no one, the world's most influential person is US President Donald Trump. Now, Trump's political relevance could have ended when he finished his 1st term, having been resoundingly defeated, impeached twice, and staring down the barrel of several legal cases. But Trump, who has reshaped the Republican Party in his own image, stayed on the scene, and mounted an astonishing comeback to win in 2024. And since returning to the White House, he's wielded his influence to upend, or perhaps shatter the global system, calling for US territorial expansion, spurning allies, and imposing a vast array of tariffs on the entire world. And that's just promoting a handful of the videos we've made on him recently. Anyway, having been the most dominant political figure for 3 consecutive presidential election cycles, Trump, for a generation of young Americans, is the norm rather than the exception of US politics. And whatever direction his presidency goes in now, his influence will persist for some time yet. But that's not where this ends. If you want to discover the official top 25, find out where figures like Keir Starmer, Mark Zuckerberg, Joe Rogan, Mr. Beast, or Taylor Swift landed, as well as finding out the 3 people that the TLDR team put on their top 10, but didn't make it to the overall list, you'll have to pick up a copy of our magazine too long. In it, we run down the entire list, as well as a whole load of extra data and analysis. Plus, we've written articles about all of the top 25, discussing how they wield their influence and how they interact with and shape our world, including Modi's struggles in South India, how Elon took over, Giorgia Meloni's battles with the Italian judiciary, and Trump's monumental comeback story. Also, if you want to dive even deeper, the premium edition of the magazine also gets you access to bonus videos too. That includes the team debating the ranking of their top 25, with it getting pretty heated at times.
Swap.
No. Whoa.
Might not be alive by the time this comes out at this point.
You can assassinate
Because
him.
he's old and ill, not as a, you know.
What do you know?
We also recorded the team reacting to the audience's rankings, so you can find out what they really think about your votes. And this issue isn't just about the most influential people either. This magazine also contains articles about the current state of the UK, the new right in Europe, and if peace can really hold in Gaza. So if you want a copy, head over to toolong.news to pick one up. And if you never want to miss an issue, you can also subscribe, which gets you 20% off every issue as long as you stay subscribed. Plus, just this week, if you use code INFLUENCE, you'll get an additional £3 off any subscription. Too Long helps to fund our journalism year-round and allows us to keep making our YouTube videos free, so we really do appreciate your support.